Please welcome to the stage Anna Dawson, Concordia's Director of Programming.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Please take a seat. Thank you. After a wonderful morning of discussions, I'm pleased to announce an exciting afternoon of programming, starting with a keynote from Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. Governor Beshear grew up right here in Central Kentucky and graduated from Henry Clay High School. His family and community instilled in him the values of faith, family, and public service. He has leaned on those values more than ever during the COVID-19 response, putting science and the safety of all Kentuckians ahead of politics while simultaneously leading an economic resurgence in Kentucky. Please join me in welcoming the Governor of Kentucky, Andy Beshear.
All right, thank you and good morning. And I want to welcome this summit to the Commonwealth of Kentucky and to Lexington. Yes, I did grow up in Central Kentucky. I grew up right here in Lexington, Kentucky, and I'm a proud Fayette County public school graduate. Now, this is Concordia's first summit focused on the United States. And I'd like to thank the entire Concordia team, that Matthew, Nicholas, for choosing Kentucky for this milestone event. Yeah. And while I am probably just a little bit biased, I think you have chosen the perfect spot, because as we look at the economy across the United States right now, Kentucky's time is here. Our future is now. You know, the last couple years have been tough. They've been tough on all of us across the United States and certainly across the globe. Here in Kentucky, we've seen the pandemic. We've seen ice storms. We've seen tornado events, the likes of which magnitude and devastation I don't think many in the world had ever seen. We've seen flooding that's pushed people out of their homes and even submerged entire communities. But we have shown that while we might get knocked down, nothing breaks us. Not tornadoes, not pandemics, not flooding. That here in Kentucky and across the United States, we do not break. We've seen, even in the midst of the most difficult times, incredible ingenuity and accomplishment. We think about the pandemic in today's terms, but just remember, when this virus hit, tearing through New York, New Orleans, countries across the globe, there was no testing. In matters of months, we constructed almost each state by state, the vastest, most flexible testing network that the world has ever seen, to where now you can walk into a drugstore and buy tests to take at home for a virus we didn't even know about 2.5 years ago. Not only did we have the fastest and one of the best vaccines created, but we vaccinated more people here in the United States in a short period of time than ever in human history. Yes, the pandemic's not done, thankfully. It's receded significantly in the United States. And yes, we have more work to do. We ought to be really proud of having what I believe is the strongest and best response to a pandemic in human history. And because of the way that we all as individuals went about our days, sacrificing for one another, knowing that there were things that we wouldn't be able to do on that day that we wish we could, there are hundreds of thousands of Americans who are going to get to celebrate the next holiday with their families that otherwise wouldn't have been here. We focus a whole lot in the United States in our news about the things that divide us. But the way we came together in the toughest of times, I think, is nothing short of incredible. Each person living out their faith and living out their belief that we are all each other's neighbors and we all owe each other a duty. We saw that in a very different, in a very special way in one of those other really tough times. In December, I got a call, about 11 p.m., that we were experiencing a tornado event that went on for hours. It was an F4 tornado that not only hit right before the Kentucky border, but stayed on the ground over 200 miles continuously through our state. I can't explain to you if you weren't there how bad it actually is. There is no camera lens that could show you the level of devastation. I stood in the middle of towns I love, that I know, where my grandparents lived, where I learned so much, where my granddad put me on a tractor and drove me around town that is no longer there. Standing in what used to be neighborhoods, where there's not a single wall standing 3 blocks wide in the entire distance of the town. We lost 80 people. 80 people that day, each one an irreplaceable child of God, and one was just 6 days old. But we not only endured this pain, in the midst of it, I think the world saw a little bit of who we are. Now, we had first responders driving directly into that storm from all parts of Kentucky that night to be there for everybody at first light. I landed about 10 minutes after dawn, got over to one of the hardest hit places, and there were people from all over this state doing everything they could to try to save that next life. We saw people from not only all over the state, but all over the country, and an outpouring of love come to our aid. It was everything from, I think, hosting the largest toy drive maybe in human history, where we still have 3 warehouses full of toys donated from every part of this country to make sure those kids who hadn't just lost their Christmas toys, had lost all their toys, could have just one magical moment in the midst of the trauma that they had endured. And my wife, First Lady Andy Beshear, put that together. I'm proud of her, and I'm proud of everybody else who took part. But I'm convinced that what drew the nation to us in the aftermath of that is just a little bit of who we are. In Kentucky, we're people that love one another. We open our hearts and our homes to people in times of difficulty. We believe in one another. And when something like that happens, it takes us stepping back and saying the things that we were mad at our neighbor about, the things that we were disagreeing and yelling about, just aren't that important. And I think that is so much of why Kentucky is where it is in other areas as well. See, while it's hard to process, Kentucky is going through 2 historic moments at the same time. One, the rest of the world's experiencing. It's dark, it's difficult. We've lost 14,000 people to this pandemic, and we will be grieving for years to come. But the other is bright and hopeful. We are having the greatest economic resurgence, maybe the greatest economic surge that this state has ever seen in its history. Now, on any given year, we were excited in the past when we would bring in, about $5.5 billion of new investment a year. Last year, we shattered not only that, but every other record in the books. Kentucky saw $11.2 billion in private sector investment last year in a state of 4.4 million people. Saw 18,000 new jobs at the second highest wage we've ever seen. And these are jobs not of the past, but of the future. Companies that are known throughout the world are now picking Kentucky for their biggest and most important projects. Just think about it. Last year we had the biggest investment in our history. At nearly $6 billion, 5,000 new jobs, Ford Motor Company is making the biggest investment in the history of that great company, and they're making it in Kentucky. Kentucky is going to be the electric vehicle battery capital of the United States of America, and we are going to make sure that we can manufacture that technology, not only for the United States, but for this world. Last year, we also operationalized Amazon's largest project in its history in the Northern Kentucky Cincinnati Airport. We're building the world's cleanest, greenest recycled paper mill in Henderson, Kentucky, the largest economic development announcement in over 25 years there. We're doing green aluminum down in Southern Kentucky in Todd County, first facility that Novelis had built since 1983. They chose us, and they've already announced they're going to double it. And then there's agriculture technology, App Harvest, Jonathan Webb, and so many others. Folks, we're growing tomatoes inside of the largest greenhouse in North America on a former coal mine. We are taking a state that floods 52 weeks a year and turning that water not only into an asset, but something that's going to be absolutely critical throughout the world. I think that we're showing that a state that many people might count out is one that can truly lead. Because in a post-COVID economy, we are going to lead. As I tell my people, we've arrived. Never to be a flyover state ever again? No, the Concordia Summit is right here in Kentucky. Never to have people look down their noses at us ever again. You know, I know what that feels like. Or as I like telling people, if folks outside of our state want to keep making fun of our accents, we're coming for your jobs too. But it is a thrilling time, right? Not just to be a Kentuckian, but to be an American. And I think that there is so much opportunity in front of us. You know, as we come out of something that turned our world upside down, we had the time and the ability to think about what the world is going to be like afterwards. You're going to hear remote work. We got people moving from all over the United States into Kentucky who are doing remote work, and they're not moving to our biggest cities. They're moving to some of our most beautiful lakes and areas in Kentucky. We're seeing people looking for different things, and we are seeing companies that want to place their faith in areas that can produce some of the best workers that this country can provide. You know, the sky is the limit here for us in Kentucky, and you know what? We feel it. You know, even in the challenges of our present, a pandemic, these natural disasters, inflation, the economic fallout of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, but you know what? We're tough enough to take that economic fallout because we have to stop that dictator right here and right now and ensure he goes no further. But even in the midst of all of that, we see a brighter future in this Commonwealth than many of us ever imagined was possible. And so that's why we are excited to have you here today, to show you some of the great things that we have to offer, a place where you can do business like nowhere else, where you find a workforce that wants you to win. Now, our slogan is Team Kentucky. Seems pretty simple, but it says a lot. When you invest in us, we invest in you. Your success is our success. And our goal moving into the future is we don't just want to be the laborers, we want to be the thinkers. So when you're looking at research and development, like we're working with App Harvest in our entire agri-tech ecosystem, think of Kentucky. When you think of that next generation of jobs and technologies, think of Kentucky. Because what I can tell you is you will be a part of Team Kentucky, and we will not let you down. We are thrilled to have you here today, and I just end by mentioning something that Bill Ford Jr., that's Henry Ford's great-grandson, said to me the day that we announced Ford's biggest project in their history. He looked at me and he said, Andy, first of all, this is the biggest step in the automotive industry since the Model T. That's pretty neat from Henry Ford's great-grandson. But then he said, we're betting the future of our company, and we're betting it with you. We look forward to those opportunities. We look forward to transformation for our people. Kentucky is ready to lead, and we welcome you to be a part of that, and we are thrilled your conference is here today. Now, this has been saying I've been over my time for probably a couple of minutes, but we have so much to offer, it's hard to talk about in just 10 minutes. So I hope you have a great conference. For those here and for those watching online, come take a look. See what we have to offer. There's a lot going on in Team Kentucky. Thank you.